Breaking. Prince William just publicly rinsed Keir Starmer on the streets of London over the homelessness crisis, and what the Prime Minister clapped back with has sparked a constitutional meltdown that could topple the government. William didn't just slag off policy, he shredded it in front of cameras, in front of crowds, in front of a nation watching the royal family smash decades of political silence. And what happened next rattled two continents. The showdown lasted 11 minutes, but the fallout will drag on for years. If you want to see how the royal family just flipped British politics upside down, hit that subscribe button right now because what I'm about to spill will leave you gobsmacked. Here's what lit the fuse on this unprecedented bust-up. 4 days ago, Prince William rocked up unannounced to a rough sleeper hostel in Lambeth, South London. His message was crystal clear and brutally blunt. Britain's homelessness crisis is a national disgrace, and the government's got blood on its hands. But Keir Starmer wasn't having any of it. The Prime Minister was in tea about to stand there like a mug, while a prince lectured him on housing policy. Starmer fired back instead, and with that move, he kicked off the biggest royal versus government clash in modern UK political history. At exactly 3:15 p.m. yesterday, outside Westminster Bridge, William was meeting homeless veterans when journos cornered him with questions about Starmer's housing cuts. What William said next detonated like dynamite across British politics. His exact words were chilling and totally unprecedented for a working royal. When I see veterans kipping in doorways while billions vanish into bureaucratic black holes, I don't just feel disappointed, I feel ashamed. The crowd went absolutely mental. Tourists whipped out phones and filmed. Within minutes, the clip was blowing up across every social media platform worldwide. The response was savage and immediate. Within 2 hours, Downing Street dropped a statement so aggressive, so personal, so politically reckless that even Labour MPs were texting each other in disbelief. The statement read, "The Prince of Wales would do well to remember that housing policy is decided by elected representatives, not inherited titles. If he wants to shape policy, perhaps he should stand for election." Sources inside Number 10 described the atmosphere as pure chaos when that statement went out. Meanwhile, homeless veterans who served Queen and country with honor and grit are dying on Britain's streets in numbers that would shock you. James Crowley, a 72-year-old Falklands veteran, was found dead outside a Tesco in Manchester last Tuesday morning. He'd served 3 tours, earned 2 medals, survived enemy fire in the South Atlantic, but he couldn't survive a brutal British winter on concrete pavement. His body was discovered at 6:47 a.m. by a schoolgirl walking to class. She'll carry that image for the rest of her life. While James Crowley froze to death wrapped in newspaper, Labour MPs were living it up at a taxpayer-funded bash at the Savoy Hotel with champagne costing £180 a bottle. We're talking caviar. We're talking 5-course meals. We're talking posh luxury that could feed a homeless family for 3 months. The contrast is so obscene, so morally bankrupt that even lifelong Labour supporters are binning Starmer in droves. This isn't about politics anymore. This is about basic human decency. And the government just flunked the test catastrophically. But hold tight, because there's another veteran whose story nails exactly why William decided to smash royal protocol and speak out now. Michael Patterson served in Afghanistan for 4 brutal years, lost 3 mates to IED blasts, and came home with PTSD so severe he couldn't hold down graft. He applied for veteran housing support 17 times over 2 years. 17 applications, 17 knockbacks, a bureaucracy that's meant to help him mugged him off at every single turn. Last month, Michael was kipping rough under Waterloo Bridge when Prince William's crew found him during a private outreach visit. The media never clocked. William sat with Michael for 40 minutes, listening to his story, hearing about the mates he'd lost and the system that binned him. Palace insiders say that chat flipped everything for William. He returned to Kensington Palace, visibly rattled, and told his staff, "This ends now. I don't care about protocol anymore." 3 weeks later, Michael Patterson was handed emergency housing through a royal charity. But here's the kicker. Michael was one of the lucky ones. For every veteran William can personally help, there are hundreds more freezing in the cold while government suits shuffle papers and Labour ministers swan off to posh dinners. That's the brutal reality that pushed William past breaking point. Then something unprecedented dropped that nobody saw coming. King Charles, watching this crisis blow up from Buckingham Palace, smashed 70 years of royal protocol with a single extraordinary move. At yesterday's Privy Council meeting, usually a rubber stamp formality lasting 15 minutes, The king delivered what insiders are calling the most politically charged speech by a British monarch since World War II. Homelessness, Charles declared with barely contained fury, is not a policy debate. It is a moral crisis that demands immediate action from all of us, especially those with the clout to change lives. Palace insiders reveal Charles personally axed a paragraph from the draft that directly named Starmer, but the message was crystal to everyone in that room, and everyone watching across Britain. The king just picked a side. The optics are absolutely brutal for Starmer. When both the king and the heir apparent stand united against your housing policy, you're not just losing a political scrap, you're losing the nation's moral authority entirely. And here's where it gets even more extraordinary. Charles didn't stop at words. According to senior royal sources, the king personally ordered Duchy of Cornwall officials to open 15 properties across England for emergency veteran housing within the next 30 days. Properties worth an estimated £32 million collectively. This isn't symbolic gesture politics. This is the monarchy going toe-to-toe with government policy by showing what real action looks like. Constitutional experts are calling it unprecedented in modern times. Professor Dame Margaret Hodge of Cambridge University said on Radio 4, "The king is essentially saying if elected government won't solve this crisis, the crown will. That challenges 400 years of constitutional evolution." Think about the political implications for a second. Every veteran housed in a royal property becomes a walking advert for monarchist compassion and government failure. Every headline about Charles opening palace doors highlights Starmer slamming shut housing budgets. The royal family isn't just chirping anymore. They're scrapping for the moral soul of Britain itself. The domino effect was instant and catastrophic beyond anything Downing Street ever clocked. Financial markets were the first to wobble. The pound tanked 0.7% in just 40 minutes as traders bet on government instability. Housing stocks nosedived as investors legged it from anything tied to Starmer's housing policies. £2.3 billion wiped off the FTSE in a single afternoon. Then the political cracks started showing. Backbench Labour MPs began breaking ranks in public. Sarah Owen, MP for Luton North, tweeted, "When Prince William shows more compassion for veterans than our own government, we need to look in the mirror." That tweet blew up with 400,000 likes in 3 hours. International reactions piled in. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney praised William's courage. Aussie leaders called for Britain to follow the Commonwealth's lead on veteran support. Even American news networks ran it as their lead story, branding Starmer, a prime minister at war with his own royal family. Meanwhile, #DefendWilliam was trending worldwide for 17 straight hours. Protests erupted across 11 British cities: Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, Newcastle, all seeing crowds in the thousands demanding Starmer's resignation. The polls showed the political earthquake in cold numbers. Labour's support collapsed from 39% to 27% in 72 hours. The Conservatives surged to 36%. Reform UK jumped to 21%. For the first time since the election, Starmer's government looks properly vulnerable to collapse. Inside number 10, the atmosphere has spiraled into what witnesses call full-blown institutional panic. Ministers are having screaming matches in corridors loud enough for security staff to hear 3 rooms away. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner allegedly lobbed a briefing folder across the cabinet room and shouted that Starmer had just torched Labour's relationship with Middle England forever. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson was overheard muttering to a colleague, "He picked a fight with the future king. Who does that? What was he thinking?" WhatsApp groups with names like the Sensibles and Posture Planning are frantically plotting their next moves. The question isn't if they'll move against Starmer, it's when and who fronts the coup. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has gone radio silent, refusing all media requests, cancelling appearances. She's not backing Starmer anymore, and everyone knows what that signals. She's positioning herself as the steady alternative, the leader who can patch things up with the palace and restore stability. Starmer himself looked visibly rattled during Prime Minister's questions. Sources say his hands were shaking as he clutched the dispatch box when Conservative leader Kem Badna asked if he regretted attacking Prince William. Starmer couldn't answer cleanly. He stumbled through platitudes about respecting institutions while backbenchers groaned audibly behind him. The man looks broken, isolated, ditched by his own party, and staring down a royal family that just proved they're not scared to fight back. But here's the twist that could bring down not just Starmer, but reshape the entire constitutional balance between Crown and Parliament. Leaked documents from the Privy Council meeting reveal something extraordinary that hasn't hit the press yet. King Charles didn't just slate homelessness policy in vague terms. According to 3 separate sources in that room, he directly referenced a classified government report predicting veteran homelessness deaths would spike by 42% under current funding levels. If these documents are legit, and if they show what insiders claim, then Charles had access to internal government analysis proving Starmer knew the consequences of his cuts before pushing them through. Think about that for a second. The king used secret government intel to publicly humiliate the Prime Minister. That's not just breaking protocol. That's the monarchy actively weaponizing state secrets against elected leaders. Who slipped Charles that report? How did palace officials get their mitts on classified cabinet office analysis? The implications are absolutely staggering. If Charles had inside help from civil servants, loyal to the crown over the government, then Britain's staring down a constitutional crisis that makes the homelessness row look like small fry. The optics of that would be brutal because it would prove exactly what Starmer's statement implied: the monarchy meddling in democratic governance. And then there's the document nobody's talking about yet, but it could flip everything upside down. A leaked Treasury memo dated 3 weeks ago shows Chancellor Rachel Reeves personally warned Starmer that slashing veteran housing funds would be a PR disaster. The memo, obtained by sources close to the Cabinet Office, includes a paragraph that should terrify Downing Street. Any reduction in veteran support will be politically toxic, especially if the royal family chooses to highlight the issue. We recommend maintaining current funding levels to avoid potential constitutional conflict. Starmer blanked that warning completely. He rammed the cuts through anyway. Now Reeves can claim she tried to stop this train wreck, positioning herself as the voice of reason who saw the crisis coming. But here's what makes this memo properly explosive. If it goes public, and multiple journos are already sniffing for confirmation, it proves Starmer was explicitly warned about royal intervention and plowed on, regardless. That's not political miscalculation. That's willful recklessness that could justify a leadership challenge on grounds of gross incompetence. Meanwhile, opposition leader Kemi Badenoch is milking this chaos with the precision of a surgeon cutting out a tumor. While Starmer flails to contain his self-inflicted wounds, Badenoch pops up on telly looking calm, credible, and downright prime ministerial. Prince William is right, she said on Question Time last night. Our veterans deserve better than pavements and car parks. The Conservatives will restore dignity to those who served our nation. The polls tell a story that should chill Labour HQ to the bone. Tory support has jumped 7 points in 3 days. Badenoch's personal approval ratings surged from 41% to 53%. For the first time since the election, more Britons trust Conservatives on homelessness than Labour. That's a catastrophic reversal on what should have been Labour's signature issue. Badenoch isn't just winning the news cycle. She's nicked the moral argument Labour thought they owned forever. And she's doing it by standing shoulder to shoulder with Prince William against a Prime Minister who looks increasingly isolated and out of touch. The next 72 hours are absolutely critical for Britain's political future. Parliament returns Monday, and demands for an emergency debate on homelessness policy are getting louder by the hour. Starmer faces a no-confidence vote that once seemed impossible but now looks bang-on likely. Labour MPs are whispering to journos off the record that they can't defend this anymore. Constituents are raging that the party's reputation is being shredded in real time. Beyond Westminster, the nation is watching something unprecedented unfold. This crisis will be studied for decades as the moment the modern monarchy decided it wouldn't stay stone anymore. When princes and kings looked at government failure and said, enough. At the epicenter stands Keir Starmer, increasingly desperate, increasingly isolated, and increasingly like a prime minister whose time is running out faster than anyone imagined. Britain is watching a constitutional crisis unfold live, and nobody knows where it ends. Not since the abdication crisis of 1936 has the relationship between crown and government been tested like this. So here's the question that matters right now. Did Keir Starmer just commit political suicide by attacking Prince William? Or will he cling on by doubling down on democracy over inherited privilege? And most importantly, has the royal family just flipped British politics permanently by proving they're willing to fight back when governments mug off the vulnerable? What's your take? Did William cross the line? Or was he bang on to speak out while people are dying on Britain's streets? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one, and your perspective matters in this historic moment. And if this story rattled you as much as it rattled us, share it with everyone who needs to see what's really going down in Westminster right now. The mainstream media is already trying to play it down, brushing off this constitutional crisis. But we won't let them bury the truth. Smash that subscribe button because tomorrow we're dropping the leaked WhatsApp chats between Labour MPs plotting Starmer's removal. You won't believe the things they're saying behind closed doors.